Today we're making a fully customizable AI calling agent with built-in appointment setting from start to finish. We'll cover where you can get a phone number, how you forward it to your AI agent, how you train your agent correctly, how to store data from the calls your agent takes, which if you're selling this as a service, then your client specifies that information, but I'll show you guys what I have. This video is packed with value and I'm giving it to you guys for free. So all I ask is that you like the video. And if you're feeling extra nice today, subscribe to the channel. Let's get right into it. Don't worry, by the way, setting this agent up is completely free unless you have really high volume passing through your agent. But if you're just starting out, you won't need that. First thing you're going to do is create a free account on retellai.com, make.com, and if you don't have a phone number to use, then you can get one on twilio.com, which is what I'll be doing. Once that's done, head to Retellai, navigate to the left-hand side and click on Agents. Then press Create an Agent, then create a voice agent, and you have a few options here. But we're going to do conversational flow agent and start from blank. From here, it's really going to depend on who you're making this agent for, but I'll go over the general method you're going to follow. So let's go over this interface real quick. On the agent interface, you have three main sections. The left side is to add various types of nodes. The big section in the middle is where you see and edit your conversational flow. And the right side is where you actually train your agent on global settings and do all the background setup that makes the conversation realistic. Let's start with the nodes. So we have all these types of nodes on the left. Conversation is going to be the main one we use to program our AI to respond in specific ways and guide the caller through a structured conversation. Next, you can add functional nodes that can check or add things to your calendar, or even custom functions if you have a JSON file. Call transfer is pretty self-explanatory. Press digit is like when it asks you to press 1 to do X or press 2 to do Y, etc. Logic split does things based on certain conditions, and SMS is for messaging. For this video, we're going to use the conversation node and the function node, and all the other fancy stuff can be done on make.com because it's more advanced. Now let's get into the global settings. So we'll come over here on the right hand side. We've got language, voice, and the model you choose. That's all up to you. Then we have our global prompt. The prompt is very important because it tells your AI exactly what it's supposed to be doing and the identity that it's taking on. You can write this yourself, but if you're smart, you'll go describe your goal for your AI agent to ChatGPT and ask it to write you a well-structured global prompt, which you can then paste into this box. All right, boom. So I just did exactly what I told you for a random example of a dental clinic. Next, we scroll down and we see knowledge base. Here you can add documents, websites, or anything you have about the company that you want the AI to be able to pull from. I want to say this is going to do a better job than a human that answers the phone because the AI has access to all these files that you've given it about your company and it can answer any question in seconds. Next, we have speech settings. You can play around with these and see for yourself. You'll probably have to adjust these after making your calling agent and talking to it a couple times. Same thing with transcription settings. Transcription settings are here because Retell automatically transcribes every call that comes in so that you have a log of the entire call. And actually, it even keeps recordings of each call so that you can listen to any call you want after it happens. Same thing with the call settings. These are not all as important as the next few settings, so you could just adjust these ones afterwards. Okay, post-call analysis is very important. Here, you're going to add variable names for any data that you want to pull from the call. For example, if you want the user's email address, you would press add, then make a variable called email_address. By the way, you can't use spaces for these variable names, so you got to use underscores. Then once you add these, you can pull them at certain points in the call, which I'll show you later. And you can come back here and add more as you make the conversational flow. Security settings can be done later too. And lastly, webhook settings, also very important. If you don't know what a webhook is, we'll be using one later when we head to make.com. And you'll have to paste that webhook in here and under the phone number we're going to be adding later. And that's it for our global settings. So let's move on to conversational flow. All right, so like I said, we're doing a dental clinic example. So let's say the client wants this AI receptionist to take inbound calls, then get information about the customer and book appointments automatically. So I'm not going to go crazy with the prompts or the flow in general because the video would be way too long, but let's start with a welcome node. So this node is going to be a prompt. We'll say, thank you for calling Lisa's dental clinic. How can I help you today? So just a basic welcome message. Then we're going to add a variable immediately, which stores the reason for the call. And we're just going to name that reason_for_call. One very important note is to add a variable, you just have to press enter twice, but it must be a prompt node, not a static sentence node, which you can see up here. Also, just doing this alone will not fully set up your variable because the AI doesn't know what information your variable is looking to capture. So keep watching and I'll show you how to finish adding variables after we set up the conversational flow. Okay, now we have the transitions. So these are custom prompts that you add that describe the user input that we expect after this node is complete. So we'll just make 3 for the sake of this example, but you'll probably add more if this were a real scenario. We'll do user wants a dental cleaning, user wants a checkup, and other. Now you can connect these transitions to different nodes. If each one leads to a different string of actions, you would have to connect them to multiple nodes. But in our simple example, we'll connect them to the same node because we want all of them to book an appointment. So now let's add a details node. This node basically just asks the user when they want to come in. Okay, so same process to fill that one in. Now we want to check availability in the calendar. So we're going to add a new node on the left-hand side and add a function node. This will give you a couple options, but we're going to do check availability with cal.com. Cal.com is just a website that you can integrate with all your calendars, and you can connect it to this agent using a webhook, which I'll do later. You need to make an account on cal.com and create an event on there that you'll access later. You needed to get a special code from in order to link each event to your AI agent. So let's go take a look at what I have. So over here we have a 30-minute dental cleaning event that I created. You can create one by pressing the plus and just adding whatever details you want. Once you've created your event, you need to open it, then click the link and look for a 7-digit number after /event types. Then you're going to take that number, copy it, and put it into your check availability node under the event type ID box. You also need to get your API key by going to settings, then developer, and press API key. Create one and copy paste it into this box on Retell. Make sure you don't share this key with anyone. And lastly, you can add a description for the event to help the AI understand what's going on. Let's go back to the conversational flow. You're now going to give it 2 options. Of course, you can have more like I said, but we'll do 2. The first option is that there's no availability in the time that the user specified, and the second one is that there is availability. That's pretty straightforward. If it is available, we want it to go ahead and skip to the node where we get the user's information to book an appointment. If it's not available, we're going to list available times and ask the user to pick one of them. So I'm going to skip to the step and I'll explain what's going on. You can now see all my nodes and connections that I have so far. And for this node over here, instead of adding a check availability node, I add a book appointment node, which you can access at the same spot. As the name suggests, it books an appointment. For the transition, let's say the appointment gets booked successfully. So it'll then move on to the next node. And this next node just thanks the user and asks if they need anything else so it can store the information in one last variable before finally saying goodbye and hanging up the call. The last thing we want to do now is go to the right-hand side to our post-call analysis. And we're going to add all the variables that we added in our call. All of ours were text, so we'll press text, and you just add the exact same variable name that was in your conversational flow. Please note that the variable names cannot have spaces, like I said earlier, so you must include underscores if needed. Then just write a prompt to describe what the variable is capturing. So for example, let's look at reason for call. The prompt here is summarize the main reason for the user's call and note what they need, when they need it, and how they want it done. I would probably add some more details and make this a bit better if we're trying to make this perfect, but that should do the trick for now. So just do that for all your variables and you should be good to go on that front. Okay, so the calling agent is basically done on Retell's end. Obviously, it's not as easy as just putting a sequence of nodes together in 10 minutes and saying you have an agent. It takes quite a bit of time and testing to make sure you cover all the different scenarios and inputs from the caller and to make sure the agent always has a response. And you'll need to fix the global settings multiple times alongside adding and modifying nodes to make sure the agent doesn't mess up. Before we move on to linking the phone number and the webhooks, I just want to remind you guys that if you're finding this video helpful, drop a like, and I'm going to be dropping more tutorials in the coming weeks, so if you want to see those, make sure you subscribe. Okay, now let's go create a number and link it to our account. So Twilio offers a free phone number that you can create with limited credits, but if you want to buy a number to keep, go to buy a number. Then you can search a specific area code that you're looking for. Pick a number that you like and make sure it supports voice and SMS. Then press buy. Now that we have a number, we're going to connect it to Retell using something called SIP trunking. So go to your active numbers and make sure the number you're going to use shows up. Then navigate to Elastic SIP trunking on the left-hand side of your screen. If you can't see that button, you might have to add it to the toolbar first. Next, go to Manage and hit Trunks. Then press Create New SIP Trunk and name it whatever you want. scroll down and enable call transfer or SIP refer and tick enable PSTN transfer. Then make sure you hit save. And now let's navigate to termination on the left-hand toolbar. Make a URL of your choice and make sure you save the full URL, including the part that you can't edit, and save it somewhere safe because you're going to need it in a minute. Then scroll down and add a credential list. Add that same friendly name that you added earlier and create a username and password of your choice and hit create. Now save again and navigate to origination. You want to add new origination URL. Then you paste this exact origination SIP URL. Everyone has the same one, so you can copy this from my screen and hit add. Then save one last time. Now navigate to numbers, add existing number, and select your number and press add selected. Okay, now let's head over to Retellai again and go to phone numbers from the left-hand side. Press the plus and hit connect your number via SIP trunking. Now enter your phone number. Now paste the URL that you created a minute ago and I told you to save into this termination URL box. And the rest is optional, so you could just add any username, password, or nickname. Now to add this number to your agent, just press inbound call agent and select the agent that you just added. Okay, now let's head over to make.com and create a new scenario. I'm just going to show you my exact workflow and I'll show you the details of each module so you know how to set it up. So the first module is going to be a custom webhook module. You're going to create a new webhook and name it whatever you want. Then copy this link by pressing copy address to clipboard. This is the webhook that you're going to be putting into Retellai and into Cal.com. So let's do that before we move on. So on Cal.com, you're going to go to the event that you want to schedule appointments for. Click webhooks at the very bottom. And you're going to paste the webhook we just copied into the subscriber URL. You can pick what triggers the webhook, so in our case we kept booking created, booking requested, and booking rescheduled. Don't include a secret for now, which is basically a password to your webhook. Your webhook isn't visible to anyone, so you don't need to worry about that for now. Now let's put the webhook into Retellai. There are two spots you need to paste this webhook. First, you're going to go to phone numbers and you're going to select the number you're using for your agent and just paste the webhook under that number. Next, you'll open your agent and go to your agent's global settings on the right-hand side, then paste the webhook in the webhooks section at the very bottom. Now let's go back to make. Okay, technically your agent works now as long as it's live on Retellai and your make.com scenario is running with immediate as data arrives turned on. The rest of this make.com sequence is just extra. Basically, the setup I have here stores your caller's data into a spreadsheet and sends an email to the business owner or whoever you want to let them know that the client has called and give them a call summary immediately after each call ends. I can make a tutorial for make automations in a separate video, but for now, let's just focus on the calling agent, which with this current setup should be working perfectly. Make sure to test and refine the agent after you've made it to get all the call details up to your standard. You'll usually have to work with your clients for a couple weeks to get everything right. Keep checking call data and eliminate any glitches you didn't catch initially. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments and I'll try to respond to all of them. If you want a PDF with step-by-step instructions on how to make this calling agent so you don't have to keep re-watching this video, I'll leave instructions on how you can download that in the description. Make sure to like and subscribe if you found this useful, and thanks for watching.